The main character was on a long journey in his car and decided to stop for the night at an abandoned motel outside the town. The motel looked eerie from the outside, but tired and ignoring the warnings of the locals, he still chose to stay there. At first, it seemed that he was safe, but as the night approached, he began to hear strange sounds and notice mysterious shadows. Soon, he realized that the motel harbored a dark secret, and his overnight stay could become his last. The abandoned motel stood on the outskirts of a forgotten town, like a cursed structure engulfed in grim secrets of the past. The old sign creaked in the wind, displaying a flickering light that once invited weary travelers, but now it appeared as nothing more than a haunting specter of the past. The main character, young and resolute, raced on his car through the darkness of the endless road. He needed a place to rest during his long journey, and when he caught sight of a weathered sign that read motel, he decided it was the best place to stay. He drove into the desolate motel courtyard, and instantly, he felt that he was not alone. The old motel looked eerie, its walls covered in cracks, and the windows veiled by thick cobwebs. The locals had long warned about its ominous reputation, but the protagonist brushed off such thoughts and decided to wait out the night. He slowed down, stepped out of the car, and entered the motel. Traces of previous guests led nowhere, as if they had vanished into this abandoned place. The air smelled of old mold and staleness, and it seemed heavy and lifeless. The protagonist looked at the dusty table near the entrance. There was a dirty registration book. He flipped through the pages and saw that the last guests were a couple who had checked in here many years ago and disappeared without a trace. The entry was made hastily, as if the motel owner was eager to avoid lingering with his guests. Perhaps it was just rumors and gossip, he thought, and went to his room. He needed to rest to continue his journey the next morning, but as the sun set beyond the horizon, the world around him grew darker and more ominous. He lay on the bed, listening to the silence, but the silence was deceptive. Strange sounds, rustles, and creaks emanated through the walls, as if the motel concealed a living evil within. The protagonist's heart began to beat faster, but he tried to convince himself that it was just his imagination. The darkness became impenetrable, and he felt like someone or something was watching him. He opened his eyes and saw the pale, ghostly face of a girl standing beside his bed. Terror engulfed him, and he jumped off the bed, but the girl disappeared as if she had never been there. His heart was pounding, and his mind was filled with thoughts of what was happening. The shadows on the walls started moving, taking on menacing shapes, and moans and whispers hung in the air. These are just hallucinations, he reassured himself. Fatigue and nervous tension are playing a cruel trick on me. But things only got worse. He heard screams and groans as if the motel was hosting a terrible nightmare. The protagonist decided to run out of this place and was already rushing to the exit when a towering shadow of a man stood in his way. "You shouldn't have come here," a deep voice whispered, making him tremble with fear. "What is happening here? Who are you?" the protagonist asked, trying to keep his composure. "I am the shadow of the past," the man replied. "My hands are stained with sins, and my eyes are filled with fear. Many horrifying events have occurred in this place, and now your soul is bound to this cursed motel." The protagonist tried to escape, but an invisible force held him in place. He realized that the motel was not just empty and eerie, but he himself had become a victim of its dark past. Now, his fate was forever entwined with this place, and he became another soul condemned to wander its desolate corridors. Since then, travelers were warned about the danger of this abandoned motel, but no one believed in the curse that lay upon it. Only at night, under the moonlight, through the widened darkness, one could hear the faint whispers of those who now remained here forever, cursed souls, prisoners of the abandoned motel.